Hey y'all, it's Nikki. I have to tell you about Tecovas boots. I finally have a pair and they're handmade, high quality, stylish, and comfortable. I even got them customized with leather stamping. The folks at Tecovas will help you find just the right pair. So swing by for yours at the Tecovas flagship on South Congress or their store at the Domain. Plus, good news, they just opened a new store in Georgetown at 709 Main Street for those of y'all that live a little further north. So come shop with me at Tecovas. That's TECOVAS.com. Don't go gently, y'all. Today on CityCast Austin, y'all, I am so excited. We got a star on the pod, Devon Walker. He grew up in Pflugerville, and he is now on Saturday Night Live. So we sat down to chat about where he got his comedy start, what it's like to be on the cast of SNL, and what Austin institution he misses the most. CityCast Austin is brought to you by our exclusive launch sponsor, Tecovas. It's Monday, October 28th. I'm Nikki Devon, and this is what Austin's talking about. Hello, I am here with Devon Walker, comedian from Texas, who is currently on SNL, and I am so fucking excited to have you here. Welcome, Devon. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And thank you for letting me know that we can cuss. Now that I know that, I'm about to, who knows?
Listen, I
can go anywhere.
I am not going to miss this opportunity. That's it. We're going with a plus 18 rating. That's what we're going with.
Okay.
You said that comedy wasn't really on your radar until like your early 20s. Mm-hmm. And then you finally did your first open mic at the Old Cap City Comedy Club. Shout out to the Old Cap City Comedy Club. What was that moment like? Was it like a eureka moment for you?
The first mic was definitely not a eureka moment. I've heard some people tell stories about like having a really awesome first set and then kind of getting bombing later. But I got the bombing right out of the way immediately. I made sure to go ahead and bomb right up top.
You got to get it out of the way. You got to get that way, you know, it's up from there. So I'm curious, Austin has and had such a robust scene.
Yeah.
Were you lucky enough to have any mentors in the Austin scene during your time here when you were gigging?
I think the closest thing that I had to a mentor was this guy named Matt Bearden.
Yes, I know exactly who Matt Bearden is. Yeah.
Yeah. Matt Bearden, real OG Austin comic. And he put me on my first ever festival show at Moon Tower 2016. Moon Tower, he put me on his festival show, which was like a huge deal. And he put me on his show Punch, which I'm not sure if they're doing it anymore, but it used to be like a weekly show that he did at the Old Cap. And those were really big moments for me. And Matt was definitely like an early part. I think a lot of comics will tell you stories about like having kind of an OG in the scene, kind of tap you and tell you like, okay, I think you're ready. And so
I love that.
Matt doing that for me was really big. It was really important for sure.
I love that. So Matt Bearden, for any of you that are listening that doesn't know who Matt Bearden is kind of just like OG Austin. He was on the radio. I would hear him on 96.7. We'd hear him on 93.7 all the time. I feel like I have like a 6 degrees of separation. He's really good friends with some of my really good friends.
Oh, so you're from Austin?
I'm from Austin. Yeah, native Austinite. Yeah,
I heard you. I heard you drop some of those references. I was like, you're from the city. Okay.
Yeah.
Got you.
He's a part of the fabric of the city.
Absolutely.
And he also used to put on really, really fun parties, which is a different conversation. So, you mentioned in an interview that SNL wasn't initially the end goal for you. Like sometimes it is for other comedians. But I'm really curious if you've had that moment yet where you were at SNL and you were like, oh, shit. Like, I am here. This is it. I am doing it. This is wild. We here. Have you had that moment yet?
I think I'm having that moment kind of all the time.
Love it. I love it.
I mean, at this point now, I'm in my 3rd season, so I like, you know, a little bit of the shock has worn off of like just being like kind of in awe of everything. But I don't know. It's still really crazy. I mean, there's still, I mean, like in the premiere episode this season, I got to play the mayor of New York City on the show, which was like that was really cool. But my first like real welcome to SNL moment was it was in my first season. And what ended up happening was we were doing like an NFL on Fox thing, and I was playing one character, this guy named Jim Brown.
Yep.
And basically what happened was we did the dress rehearsal, and I guess let me back up. What happens sometimes for cold opens on Saturdays is sometimes we don't know what the cold open is going to be. Like sometimes even the cast doesn't know what the cold open is going to be.
What?
Until Saturday. Until sometimes they are still writing it on Saturday. And so this was one of those Saturdays. And so like I didn't see the cold open or know that I was going to be in it until probably 5 p.m. And the dress rehearsal show is at 8. So it was probably 5 or 6. And then we ran through it one time. And then we did it at dress rehearsal. And between like at dress rehearsal, they were like, "Oh, Devon, like you have too much facial hair, so like we need to cut that down because like James Brown doesn't have facial hair." I'm in the middle of like cutting my facial hair, and I get a call from one of Lauren's assistants, and they say, "Hey, can you come to Lauren's office?" I come to Lauren's office and I sit down in there, and I'm like, "What is this about to be?" I had no idea. And I was like, all the big bosses were kind of around in a way that I was like, what did I do? What kind of mistake did I make?
Oh God.
And I sat down, and Lauren was like, we thought about it, and we're actually going to have you switch with Keenan. We're going to have you play Michael Strahan, and so we're going to have you play Michael Strahan. Go ahead and just get ready for that.
Gotta switch that up real quick.
And then immediately he was like, oh, we're going to have to add some facial hair for you because Michael Strahan has a goatee. You're clean shaven right now. And I was like, oh, okay.
Cool.
Absolutely. And so then I ended up doing like a Michael Strahan impression for kind of the first time on live TV. And that was like a real welcome to SNL moment where it's like, hey, you don't have time to figure it out.
Yeah.
Go out there,
figure it out,
and do it. And it went over pretty good. But that was a real welcome to SNL moment for sure.
I love that. Throw you in the deep end.
Truly.
That's it. I love it.
Yeah.
So now Fun Fest, which in its later years started having music and comedy, and Moontower Comedy Fest, which you've been to in recent years. And now we have a bunch of new comedy clubs opening in Austin. What do you think about Austin's scene? What do you think about Austin becoming, or kind of, I guess, continuing to be a comedy club hub?
If I'm being really, really honest, if I'm being really, really, really honest, if I'm being very straightforward.
Yes, please.
I don't really, I think it's cool to see that there are a lot of new opportunities for my friends who are still there. But I think there's definitely like elements of the scene that I personally don't really rock with.
Listen,
I think that there's just a lot of these like kind of new podcast guys that are coming through that are kind of like edgelordy in a way that doesn't really work for me. And it does frustrate me because I feel like now there's this perception of the Austin scene that now it is good.
Yep.
And that now it's a place to be. And like me and Andrew Dismukes, who also works on the show, we both came up in Austin in a time where like I thought it was a really awesome place. Like I really enjoyed the scene. And it does feel like these sort of new guys who are coming around, not to sound like an old head, but I think just aspects of the elements that got brought into the scene are, I don't know, to me, it's kind of a lessened version. And it also, I think the thing that I really liked about the Austin scene when we were coming up is it really felt like a
community,
kind of a tight-knit community, And it's like truly everybody knew everybody. Every open mic you went to, you knew every comedian, you knew new jokes that everybody was working on. Like it really felt tight. And now it feels, at least from what I can tell, it feels really scattered. And then again, there's also this sort of edgelordy, like just saying crazy stuff just to say crazy stuff type of sensibility that is in the scene that I'm not a huge fan of, if I'm being honest.
I gotta agree with you 100% because I can have a lot less Joe Rogan in my life. I have a lot less Joe Rogan in Austin.
For sure.
Like sometimes I do feel like gone are the days of like the Velveeta room where you could go and you will absolutely see somebody that you absolutely gonna see somebody that's just gonna just crack you up. there are a lot of things in Austin that are changing. And I'm like, oh man, if we could have just held on to that. And, the comedy scene is no different. Have you been back recently?
Yeah, I was back in September. So I did some shows up in Dallas, and they were having the funniest person in Austin competition, the finals, at the New Cap City. And one of my friends, Justin Hicks, was competing in the finals. So I drove down from Dallas.
Nice.
And got to hang out at the New Cap and watch that competition.
That's awesome. Are there any of your favorite places that when you were down here, you're like, where is that? Like, where is this place that does not exist anymore?
Whew, man, I mean, it's like, look, I mean, we're both from the city, so it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a ton of stuff like that.
Yeah, you could write a book.
Yeah.
I can't get into it because then I'd be on here crying, being upset and screaming.
That's the thing. I also feel like, I mean, now when you go to Austin, it's like, it's very rare to talk to another person that's from there.
Yeah.
Like, it's very rare to find another person that's actually like from there. But I also don't want to get into the trap of being like, it was the good old days. But, it's like, I don't want to get into that. But also, if I'm being really frank, if I'm being really honest, it's like, of course you're nostalgic for the way that it used to be.
Of course.
But
it's a special place.
Yeah, it's a really cool place. But I don't know. What's a place off the top of my head that's that kind of thing? There was this cocktail bar I liked a lot called the Ah Sing Den.
Oh, yeah.
Over on the east side. That was like one of my favorite cocktail spots that they got shut down, which was a bummer.
It's a bummer. I didn't even get to go before they got shut down either.
It was cool, but it's a new era. Once I saw we got a Soho house, I was like, oh, we're moving into a different.
Oh, listen.
We're moving into a different zone. I'm like, oh, because it's like we're from the city, so it's like we remember like it used to be like a college town. That was like Austin's whole vibe, and now it's like, oh, we have an Hermes store.
Exactly.
It's like it's a city.
I went to Soho House literally not understanding.
Yeah.
And thinking it was just like a new place that we could go and kick it because a friend was DJing. And I showed up and they asked me for my name and they asked me if I was a member. I was like, member of the bar, the club? I was like, it wasn't computing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's definitely different. So I have to ask you this because I feel, I'm older than you. So every time I saw you on SNL and I immediately got this like Black auntie proudness because I'm like, oh, look at this Austinite. So there's been roughly 25 or so Black cast members out of little over 170 total cast members on SNL. I want to know how it feels for you to kind of like follow in the footsteps of these leviathans of Black comedy.
Yeah, I mean, it feels, I'm grateful. I'm very grateful. I think, especially getting to work alongside Keenan.
Oh my God.
Literally, if you go to my Instagram, because I've never changed it, if you go to my Instagram, my profile picture is Pierre Escargot, a character that he did on All That.
What?
And it's always been that. Ever since I've had an Instagram, that's been my profile picture. And so to like now have a guy that I literally have been watching in TV and movies like as long as like my entire life.
Right.
Mighty Ducks 2 was one of my favorite movies. Heavyweights was one of my favorite movies. All That was one of my favorite shows. Kenan and Kel was one of my favorite shows. Like he really was like a formative kind of figure like in my life. And so, yeah.
His face tells everything.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to say a word. I don't know. The way he uses his face is like kind of a masterclass and just like subtle comedy.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge fan. Now, you said that your goal was to be creative for a living.
Yeah.
Like that's your main goal. And as a fellow creative, that speaks to me on a million levels. So 10 years from now, what is your creative dream scenario? What will you be doing?
Hopefully at that point we've got some projects on the board. I mean, I definitely want to like, I've got some movie ideas, I've got some TV ideas that I've been like working on and like I've got in the works. But like more outside of like having a specific like, oh, I want this movie or this TV show. I want to get to a point where I can like be providing opportunities for my friends. I want to be at the point where, you know what I'm saying? Like, like Sandler, like all his homies are in his movies all the time. And like really just sincerely, I just want to be able to like, obviously like have enough money to like live a cool life and keep making stuff with people that I think are talented in whatever way that looks like.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's like doing stuff for stand up, whether it's doing stuff for TV, whether it's like writing a book or like working on a magazine. Like I just like making stuff with people that I think are cool. And to me, that's what guides me through my life.
That is a very Austin thing to say.
Yeah.
I think about the first joke I ever had that's still in my memory.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, it was Eddie Murphy, Delirious, when the little boy that plays Kenny in The Cosby Show is telling the joke to the family. For whatever reason, I remember that as my first joke that I ever heard.
Yeah.
Do you remember your first joke or the first joke that you remember that you've just never forgotten?
The first joke that like I really was like, oh, that is a stand-up joke.
Yeah.
I do remember it sort of. The idea, the like premise was that I'd gone to Six Flags. I took my little sister. My little sister's 10 years younger than me. I took my little sister and my other little cousin to Six Flags, and I realized that they called all the names really scary stuff, but you were never really like actually afraid for your life in the way that they wanted you to be.
Mm-hmm.
And if they wanted to create like something really scary, they should just make a ride called Poverty.
That's fucking solid. That's very funny. Yeah,
one of my
that's
early.
it.
That was the earliest one that I was like, oh, this is it. And then I talked about what kind of stuff would be on the ride. Like,
yeah.
I was like, oh, I just did a stand-up joke.
Yeah, like that is genuinely funny. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. People tell me, oh my God, Nikki, you're so funny. You should be a comedian. I'm like, There's a difference between being a funny person and being a comedian.
Sure.
Do not get me caught up and on stage looking crazy.
I mean, you know what's funny is if you ask most comedians will say the funniest person they know is not a comedian.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, look, I have a lot of very funny friends. I know a lot of really, really funny people, but yeah, I think a lot of comedians will say that. Because being a comedian is like, there's like math to it, you know? There's just like, okay, like this plus this equals like, it's a thing that you can hone and refine.
Yeah.
But like some people are just funny, like in their bones. They're just, they just are. They're just hilarious. So
that is definitely different.
For sure.
So do you have a favorite impression to do that you like to do?
My favorite impression, I mean, it wasn't that much of a crazy impression, but this past show, I got to do like a parody of Dr. Umar, which was sincerely like a dream come true. That was really, that felt good.
This is the TikTok one where he's talking about white women and then he goes in the other room. There's a white woman.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was top really, tier. I've always wanted to do that. Honestly, I really like doing Shannon Sharp. I want to try to do Shannon Sharp again on the show. Shannon Sharp's the guy. Remember he had that big video with Cat Williams? He's like an ex-NFL player.
Yes. Okay. Oh.
We did one of his videos. We did a pre-tape where I got to do Shannon Sharp. But like honestly, my favorite, just like outside of a specific impression, my favorite thing to do is to play like a black person who did something wrong. Like, I really like playing, I love playing like a black Republican. I love playing Tim Scott.
What?
I love playing people that are like, you know, just like outright bad people that I can like play with and make fun of. I really want to get to play Diddy on the show. I want to play Diddy on the show bad.
Okay, listen, it has to happen.
I mean, we gotta see. It's like a touchy thing to like
it is.
Walk around, so we gotta figure that out. But if I had my way, I would definitely get to do some Diddy stuff.
Okay, I'm looking for that Diddy. Austin has a lot, to your point, of up-and-coming comedians. Things are changing.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for someone that's listening that's like doing the open mic thing, or maybe they're doing the online thing, or they're doing all the things, and they're trying to get to the next level? Do you have any advice?
I don't know if I have any like really novel advice. I feel like the advice that I'm going to give is like pretty generic. But the thing that I always would tell people is like, watch, especially when you're starting, watch as much comedy as you can and watch what you see people doing that you don't like. And then like run in the opposite direction. Like watch.
I love that.
If there's a topic that every single comedian's saying, or if there's like a word that everybody's saying, or if everybody's doing a Tinder joke, then maybe don't have a Tinder. Just like try to find something that is like really specific to you, and like try to run away from like whatever feels really like common and obvious. That's the biggest thing I would say. Oh, and also you don't have to start posting clips as soon as you start doing comedy.
Ooh.
You can wait for a little bit. Sometimes I see people start and they're doing open mics and they're posting stuff on Instagram and TikTok from the open mic. And I'm like, well, nobody's laughing at this.
Don't do it.
Like, just maybe wait until you've honed your skill a little bit more before you go public with it.
Basically, keep y'all butts off the internet until you...
For a little bit.
Yeah. Just get something under your belt. So before you go, is there anything that you are actively missing while you're in New York about Austin? Anything you miss?
I miss HEB every single day of my life.
HEB is just out here saving lives and changing the world.
I joke with people that I miss HEB more than I miss my family, and I'm only half joking. It's just the grocery stores here are just they don't live up. They don't got the little Mexican ladies that's making the tortillas in the morning
at all.
The fresh tortillas in the morning.
Listen,
it's one of my favorite things in the world. I miss HEB. I miss HEB bad.
HEB tortillas is part of the reason that I am a plus size woman, because let me tell you something.
Hey,
they are delicious.
Delicious.
Devon, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me.
Yeah.
And chop it up. I just really appreciate it. I'm so excited about everything that you do. I love that you're from Austin. I love that you're just out in the world creating. I have to say, honestly, Everything is Trash is probably one of my favorite things to go back and watch all the time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, man. Like, it's good stuff.
We needed more people like you. We needed more fans of that show. And maybe we'd still have it, but I'm glad you liked it.
It was so good. It's very Black. I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. I just love it.
Yeah.
Thank you again. This has been dope. I love this. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. This was great.
That's all for today here on CityCast Austin. You can watch Devon on SNL this weekend and find links to his website in our show notes. Did you just love this episode? If you did, why not tell a friend, rate the show, leave us a review, send us your favorite joke, and subscribe to our Hey Austin newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Bye, y'all.